What do we know about the great warriors who fought for the independence of the Kazakh people? How do we honor their memory? Where can we touch the pages of the past? In the new issue of Welcome to Kazakhstan project, we will try to give answers to these questions by visiting the memorial complex of Karasai and Agyntay Batyrs.
Привольные казахские степи.
Free Kazakh steppes. It was here where the great warriors of the past lived and fought for their people, but their descendants, as well as history enthusiasts, have the opportunity to touch the sacred. It is enough to visit Kazakhstan, namely the memorial complex of Karasai and Agyntay Batyrs, which is in the North Kazakhstan region. This is Welcome to Kazakhstan project. My name is Zakir Mamlutov. Let's broaden our horizons. Karasai Batyr came from the Shaprashty clan. Agyntay Batyr belonged to the Argyns. Glory about them swept from the Volga River to Zhechisu. They said about Agyntay that he was a man with iron hands and called him Agyntay Zhudarik. Together, they repeatedly participated in battles with the Zangars, but the Orberlag battle of 1643 stands apart. Just in the Battle of Orberlag, the Kazakhs, led by Jangir Khan, were able to defeat the army of Yerdani Batur. 600 Kazakh warriors attacked 50,000 Zangars in a narrow gorge, arranged in a rockfall. When the invaders rushed back, the army of the Bukhara Khanate met them from the rear. Enemies were pushed back to Zangaria and no longer threatened the Kazakh Khanate. The key role in the battle was played by Karasai and Agyntay Batyrs. The memory of Karasai was surprisingly lively among the people. They tell such a story about Joly. Once, enemies were about to attack his village, and all people began to collect yurts in order to escape. Joly remained calm and said this: "I will not leave the village for anything." At night, the holy leopard of Karasai Batyr appeared to me and laid down at the doorstep. How can I leave him? If God and Holy Spirit of Karasai Batyr is with us, then why should we be afraid? It is here, on the Kulshanbai Tobe hill, where Karasai and Agyntay Batyrs are buried. But this land has become a place of last rest for many other worthy warriors. For instance, during excavations, archaeologists discovered the body of a Batyr whose height was 2 meters. He was buried with his armor and battle sword. Even if you were traveling by car, in order to get to the memorial complex itself, you will have to climb the slope of the mound. Such physical activity is not the heaviest, but it still creates the feeling of at least a small but pilgrimage path. In the middle of the 20th century, the land was cultivated in these places. One of the villagers, driving a tractor, broke a plow. He went out to fix the breakdown and found a spare head 50 centimeters long. He examined the find and put it back into the tractor. Returning home, he safely forgot about the artifact of the past.
Ол 2 күн жатып қалғаннан кейін әйелінің түсіне кіреді. Ол кезде ол кісілер жас тұғын. Сонда әйелінің түсіне кіргенде bir үлкен батыр сауыт.
And a few days later, his wife had a dream in which an unknown Batyr spoke to her. "Your husband found something," said the Batyr. "Let him bring it home." Waking up, the woman conveyed the message to her husband. He was very surprised, but fulfilled the request and brought the spearhead to the house.
Дейді, соны алып үйіне кіргізіп қояды. Мына жер 97 жыл белгілі болып, біздің елбасы Әбішұлы Нұрсұлтан президентіміз ол кезде келіп, 97 жылы.
And in 1997, the first president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, had visited these places, and the woman who kept this spearhead for many years passed it to the first president, telling the story of the find. After a careful study of the artifact, the sign of Rusha Prashte was discovered on it. It became clear that it was in these lands that glorious Batyrs were buried, and in 1999, a memorial complex was built with the money of Kairat Satybalde.
Менің бабам табылды деп, сөйтіп жарлап тастап, 1999 жылы Қайрат сатып алды, осыны жеңілдегі демеушілік жасап, осы мемориальный комплексті тұрғыздырады.
The mausoleum was opened on October 15, 1999. The height of the towers is 16 meters. The height of the mosque is 12 meters. Two domes that rise above the hill are made in the form of battle helmets of that era, as if it were here that two gigantic warriors had forever taken them off their heads. Another attribute of the Batyrs of those years is crossed battle spears decorating the memorial. Already at the foot of the hill, a traveler gets a feeling of touching a great story, a feeling that it is a truly sacred place. A mosque is located between the two domed helmets. It is easy to guess that the complex is oriented towards Mecca. This is where the protrusion of the mosque's mihrab is facing. Designers of the complex are famous domestic architects Bek Ibraev and Saduakas Agitaev. Bek Ibraev is an academician of the International Academy of Eastern Countries Architecture, and Saduakas Agitaev participated in the elaboration of the Abay and Shakarim memorials in Semey, of Rambek Batyr and Sumbai Akan in Almaty, of Kabanbai Batyr in Nur-Sultan. In the very center of the complex, there is a small room in which granite tombstones are installed. This one, made in the form of a ram, is called Koitas, and the more familiar to us stela is called Kulpitas. Everything around is breathing Turkic traditions. Batyrs of the Shaprashte clan have always been considered the strongest. It is no coincidence that a wolf's head was flaunted on their shields and armor. But even among his legendary ancestors, Karasai stood out for heroism and courage. Not for nothing that his name over the years has become the war cry of all Shaprashte. And the great Akin Suyunbai, the teacher of Jambul, devoted the following lines to Karasai. Batyr yer Karasai, snow avalanche falling on the enemy. It is not known how the fate of the Kazakh people would have been if since the time of Khan Yesim, brave Kazakh warriors had not defended their lands from the invading enemy. More than 48 years at war, more than 200 battles. There is an interesting legend. Once, a commander of those times was praised, to which he replied, "When I chop to the neck. When Karasai chops, he chops to the waist." How could such warriors not defend the honor of their native land? If a visitor wants to appeal to arwahs or spirits, he must light the shirak, that is, a hearth. It is said that such a ritual helps in many matters, but only if the asker adheres to a lifestyle close to the great warriors, does not drink alcohol, helps the weak, does no harm.
каждый год.
Every year, crowds of pilgrims from all over the world come to the great warriors' mausoleum. Some people come to ask for intercession from the Arwas, someone to pay tribute to the great ancestors who defended the freedom of the Kazakh people. It is worth it to visit here at least once and feel the spirit of those fiery years.